someone's
Mhm,
hosting you and they want to cook
mhm.
food for you, and you're like,
Yep.
"Oh no, I'm good." And then they see you eating out of like a Tupperware container. Like that's got to be weird.
It's understandable that that feels really awkward and difficult to do. Everyone else is eating a certain way, and you would be doing something different. So you would be not conforming to what everyone else is doing. And the act of doing something different kind of leaves you as an outcast.
But what does our society tell us to do on social things? Eat and drink. How often do people just come over and hang out and talk? No, they always have to have the nuts or the chips or the whatever. They crack a beer.
I think those are some of the most difficult parts about not overdoing it in social settings for me as well. This is what helps me. So the first thing is, what's going on, everyone? Have you ever found yourself struggling to accomplish your fat loss goals from having difficulty with navigating social eating? Like eating at restaurants, home gatherings with family or friends, or perhaps during holiday meals or eating while on vacation? Well, if you have, then get ready because Zach and I share all about our experiences with just that and how we manage social eating with accomplishing our own fat loss goals. I know you're going to absolutely love this episode, so sit back, relax, and let's dive in. So, Zach, during your last serious fat loss phase, did you often find yourself having social meals? And social meals could be anything like eating at restaurants, eating with families, like family gatherings, family barbecues with family and friends, um, that sort of thing.
Yes, actually a ton. And so to clarify, my last serious fat loss phase was for the my first show. And so that went from November till March. So it was a pretty long time. And those who are thinking about those dates, obviously there's a lot of big holidays during that time. Um, and so I think, for the Thanksgiving and Christmas, I just kind of okay, tried to manage my calories before. I knew I was going to eat a lot those days, but honestly, I just kind of didn't even count those days, which I think moving forward, we'll talk about. I'm going to have a better approach for that. But during that prep in general, I had a lot of social meals. Um, and it's interesting lately. I was actually talking to my wife about this recently. I've actually done less social stuff now that the prep is over. And I don't know why. That's a whole separate issue, but I'm trying to figure out why I was like trying to stay busy with my time doing so much other things. But basically, I have a monthly poker game that I host with guys in the neighborhood. And I would have that every month during the prep. And everyone, it's like a potluck. Everyone brings their own thing. My thing is like pigs in the blanket, which are like the little hot dog things and the crescent rolls. Not good for you at all. And you can eat like a whole pack right then and there. Um, and we also would go to trivia night once a week at one of the restaurants. And so going out to a restaurant, you kind of feel obligated to buy food at the restaurant because they're doing trivia, they're giving away gift cards and things like that. So during that phase, I mean, I had the two big holidays, and then I had 5 poker nights, and I would say probably another 10 um, where we went out just for trivia nights, and that doesn't include like some dinners and some other random get-togethers. So a lot of social events during that prep, which made it very difficult.
Right. Okay. And the purpose of being in a prep for the most part is accomplishing fat loss to get super super lean on the stage. So to give lots of context, you were trying to accomplish fat loss during the prep whilst making these social gatherings, eating in restaurants for trivia night, and having like the potlucks with the poker night. You're trying to make fat loss work with that kind of approach to eating. So how did it go? Was it difficult? Did you struggle with it? Was it a piece of cake? No pun intended.
Well, I did have a lot of cake. No, I'm just kidding. Well, for anyone that doesn't know, Sam knows the data behind this. I said I started my prep in November, but let's be honest, I really started the prep in January because I had too many social meals beforehand. No, it it was tough. I messed up a ton. Ate too much. I mean, like I tried to make it work. So for like going out to the restaurant, I would just have like a salad Um, and that got easier as it went on. And then towards the very end, when I actually locked in, the last month, I just didn't order anything, and that was okay. Um, but I kind of got over that stigma of having to. Like you kind of get the peer pressure of you want to eat because you're at the restaurant. Um, and then so you want to give that business to it, and then it's like, but really you were just probably giving yourself an excuse to eat something different. And also it's kind of expensive. I mean, salads are like not cheap when you add all like the grilled shrimp or some blackened chicken or something on there. It adds up. Um, so it was just easier not to eat. So yeah, I struggled a ton with it. I messed up every time. I mean, every time I had a poker night, I was like messaging you before. I'm like, what can I get away with to eat? And you're like, nothing. Like you're like, eat some like high volume food beforehand. And I'm like, I didn't do that. So I would tell myself I would and then never did. So I think uh actually the month of March, I actually waited, had my poker night the weekend after the show because I knew I didn't want to chance it leading up to it. So I think removing those situations completely is probably the best way, but that's a whole separate issue, and it's very difficult to do depending on your lifestyle and um, different requirements that you have if you have a work party or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's super relatable for a lot of people. I know that with a lot of the clients that I work with, the social eating element of fat loss dieting is often the most difficult part for a lot of people. Like
Hmm.
it's almost easier to like meal prep Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday, but then when it's those evenings going out to dinner or going out with family, having family gatherings, that's really the tough part for a lot of people. And honestly, for myself included, I think the most difficult part of fat loss dieting is going away from home, like going on trips for 2, 3 days at a time or longer, like longer vacations, and making sure that I'm prepared for sticking with my fat loss diet when I'm away from home, and that could involve multiple restaurant meals and doing extra grocery shopping or packing meals with me,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that's one of the biggest struggles. I think that's the hardest part about fat loss dieting for me.
Yeah. Do you think? Because I think there's probably a big stigma about like packing meals or bringing your own food to a restaurant. There were some times I did that. I would bring my own meal prepped food to like a restaurant or whatever. But I think there's twofold. Like number one, it's kind of I don't know what the right word is, rude. It's kind of like messed up to go to a business where their job is to sell you food and you're not eating their food. If I was that business owner, it's like, why are you here? You're like you're taking up a seat where someone could be buying food. Um, so I think there's that pressure, and so then it's like, do you not go out with people? But then you're removing yourself, and the last thing you want to do is if you're going out with family and friends, like say you guys can't go somewhere because and it's like your selfish reason. So it's like you're like, okay, I'll go, I'll just eat a salad, but then that salad you don't know how many calories are in it. So next thing you know, you're out of your rhythm, right? Like so, I think I think there's a big stigma with that, and then also I think there's a stigma of like bringing your own food. I don't know what your experience with is it, but like if you're going to a barbecue someone's
Mhm,
hosting you and they want to cook
mhm,
food for you and you're like,
yep.
"Oh no, I'm good." And then they see you eating out of like a Tupperware container. Like that's got to be weird, you know? So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh man, so many good points in there. So as far as like packing your food to some kind of a social gathering, someone else is hosting it. It's going to feel kind of weird bringing your Tupperware. Everyone else is eating something else. The host has prepared some kind of a meal, and you're sitting there eating whatever you've got with you. Couple thoughts on that. So the first one, I think it's understandable that that feels really awkward and difficult to do. Everyone else is eating a certain way and you would be doing something different. So you would be not conforming to what everyone else is doing. And the act of doing something different compared to everyone else kind of leaves you as an outcast. People kind of give you funny looks.
Yeah.
Maybe they have like the offshoot comment of like, "Hey, what are you doing? What do you got there?" And it's like they're not trying to be insulting or anything like that or rude, and they're not. But you can feel their body
Yeah.
language is like, "What the heck are you doing?" So it feels it can feel pretty awkward.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of helps me, because I do that sometimes, and I'm
I'm
going to do that.
describing Sam to a T.
I do that sometimes, especially when I'm in prep. I know I'm going to do that probably a lot over the next year or so.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What helps me is knowing that at the end of the day, depending on whose gathering I'm at, whoever's hosting, if it's a meal or a barbecue or whatever, at the end of the day, they're not gonna they're not actually gonna lose any sleep over me packing a meal. They might be like, oh, that's kind of weird. But at the end of the day, it's not like they're gonna have trouble, like they're gonna feel sad at night.
Yeah,
They're not gonna be
yeah,
thinking about it much. They'll be like, wow, that guy's weird, kinda. Like, it's weird that he's doing that. But
yeah.
it's not gonna really, really bug them.
Like we're gonna lose more sleep on it than they are. So why are we letting it affect us? And more sleep in the sense if we eat the wrong thing or if we feel self-conscious about eating the right thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And then also too, depending on the context, you could be with family that are really close and they understand what you're trying to do, and they might still think you're kind of weird, but
Mm-hmm,
they'll be like, "Oh,
mm-hmm.
I understand what he's trying to do, and that's just what he's trying to do." So, I'm really fortunate because I've done it so many times with my family. For example, that's where I'm going to have the majority of like my uh social gatherings will be with family barbecues, like my brother and sister-in-law, my mom, aunt and uncle, grandparents, cousins, so on and so forth, some other friends. They all know me and they don't even think twice about what I'm doing. They all think I'm weird already, so it's
Mm-hmm,
not going to
mm-hmm.
hurt if I keep doing the weird thing. And then, like you noted, at the end of the day, eh, I get to have some peace of mind too, knowing that I'm sticking with my parameters that I've set out for myself, and ultimately I'm going to accomplish the fat loss that I'm aiming for. So
Yeah. I,
that's my 2 cents on it nowadays as far as, like, the social awkwardness
mhm.
goes.
And I was just thinking about what you're talking about. And I think maybe the hard thing, at least for me, and I think probably a lot of people out there, is because you said how you've done this for a while, and now it's kind of like a pattern, a habit. People know Sam is going to do these things, so that's a learned trait from who's close to you. I think a lot of people that are just starting, it's not a learned trait. I know that's how it was for me. But the cool thing is, and I know we say this a lot in a lot of our different episodes and just fitness stuff in general, but it's so true, right? Like once you get to the other side, it makes it all worth it, right? Like people then understand, and it's like the light bulb goes off, right? So it's like even in my own journey for that, I didn't realize, you know, all the uncomfortableness, the sacrifices, but it paid off at the end. And then people don't pressure you anymore because they're like, oh my goodness, look at your physique. Like, awesome, you know? And so it becomes, I think the journey the first time is the hard part. And like small, so even today at lunch, I was eating my favorite meal, and it's the rice cakes with
Gotta have the rice
lightly
cakes.
salted with my cottage
Mhm.
cheese, right?
Love it.
And so I never had cottage cheese before doing my last prep, and my wife hates cottage cheese. I love it now, right? And I'm just eating it. I had two of them with cottage cheese on it, and everyone else there was like, "You're a psycho," right? And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "That's what else you eat?" And I was like, "I got an apple, I got a protein bar, I got some other like, I got a Greek yogurt." And they're like, "What?" But then it's so crazy. But then they're like, "But look at you." Yeah, and so like it's clicking. They're like, "It's okay because you're fit. Like you have this great physique." So I think the hard thing is doing that while you're still in that transformation, right? If that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like you maybe don't see the results yet, but they're gonna be there a month, 2 months, 3 months down the road. Just stick with it. And then like if people do think some weird things, like the proof's gonna be in the pudding. No pun intended on that. But like afterwards, like when they see the hard work. I don't know if that makes sense, like what I was trying to get with there.
Yeah, it does make sense, and I think it's a really good point that you brought up about how difficult it can be when you're not used to doing it, and then all of a sudden you start doing it. I think it's like anything else. The first time you do anything,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's gonna feel awkward and weird. So the first time you bring your Tupperware to your family's place,
Yep.
you're gonna get eyeballs from your family. You're gonna get
Yes.
eyeballs from your friends. People are gonna say things to you, and you're not gonna know how to react probably. You're not gonna know what to say. The answer is probably going to be the reason I'm doing this is because I want to get lean. If it's
Yep.
for a bodybuilding competition, it's like I want to get lean for a bodybuilding competition. Maybe it's not for a bodybuilding competition.
Hmm. Hmm.
Maybe it's just because you have a fat loss goal or a weight loss goal. You want to look good in the summer, to go to the beach. That's the answer. But sometimes it's even tough to give that answer. Like someone's like, "Hey, why'd you
Yeah.
bring your Tupperware food?" Sometimes it's hard to say because I want to lose body fat and look good for the
Which
summer.
is
It's like,
so
it's
weird, right? Like, shouldn't we be proud to say that? And everyone should hype everyone up and help. But it's weird, the stigma, right? Like this the
yeah,
societal pressures. I I was thinking about this while you were talking, I was giving my answer. And we talked about this before about like going all in. And I look back at my very first fat loss phase, right? Back in 2023. I think that's when it was. And I basically shut down my life for 3 months. And I think people are probably listening to that and like, "Are you crazy?" Right? Yes, I was. Um, but like, I lost what 40 pounds within or 35 pounds within those 3 months, and then lost a little bit more after that. And I did not go out. I did not go and drink. I did not party. I basically went to the gym, went to work, came home, got sleep, did the same thing. And it's like, it sounds boring. It sounds hard, and it is. But in the grand scheme of things, 3 months of your total life to have a life changing moment, and then you can tailor it back. Then you have learned the skill, you have learned the habit, you understand, and now you can slowly adjust to a more normal lifestyle. But I think you almost have to go like full, like shut off, like put the blinders up, super focus. Um, and I think it because after that, it's like, you can do it then. So afterwards, if you gain a little bit of weight after, like, you can because you know what you need to do. I don't know if that's what I think really helped for me, because if you're just like you're saying, doing something for the first time is hard. And it's even harder if you're just continuously going out, doing those old habits. So it's like, just shut off for 3 months, go away, come back a completely new person, and then you can do those other things. But you also look different. You feel more confident. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that honestly, I think that might be completely appropriate for a ton of people, just like it was for you. So, like for you, for example, it was like up to that point, up to the point of deciding you're going to take those 3 months to basically give yourself a hard reset. You basically like wipe the slate clean for those 3 months. You kind of up to that point, you were living with a certain set of eating habits, activity habits, so like exercise habits or lack thereof.
Yeah.
And you basically needed to almost wipe the slate clean of your past habits to replace them with new ones for those 3
Mhm.
months, and then once you did that, you reinforced them enough, and you got great results within the 3 months, so that probably left you feeling pretty motivated. It was easier to probably reintegrate things like social eating and that sort of thing after those 3 months when you established a solid foundation, a baseline
Yeah.
after wiping the slate clean. And yeah, I think that's probably really appropriate for a lot of people. It sounds really scary and it is because it's a big change to do something like that. But just I think your perspective is right on the money at the end of the day. That was 3 months for you. 3 months in the grand scheme of your entire life is just, it's trivial in
Yeah.
the scale of
It's
your
it's
all the years of
almost
your life.
switched. Like, before, I was doing 20% healthy habits and 80% unhealthy. All I did is switch it. I just do 80% healthy habits now, and I still have 20% of fun. I still do 20% of, and I don't want to say fun because that gives a mindset that being healthy is not fun, but like, 20%, whatever we want to call it, cheat, like non-planned, social, whatever. Like, I think once you get to a certain baseline, and depending on your goals, right? Like, I think that's the unique part too. If you're prepping for a bodybuilding show, okay, we're gonna dial that in. We're gonna have like 0.01% fun, right? Like, but and if we're doing endurance athletes, like I'm about to prep for the marathon, like, okay, cool, I can get away with eating a little bit more tasty treats because I need those carbs, right, for the energy, which is kind of nice. But if you just want to get in shape for summer, right? Like, you can have a weekend of eating some burgers and hot dogs. It's not going to kill you, but like, because the rest of the 6 days, you understand you don't make those mistakes, so you have those margins um, to figure that out. And so I think like getting a clean reset and then switching the 80/20 to the opposite. think that's all you have to do. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's right on the money. It is, and I think that's what a lot of people get wrong nowadays is they try to do the opposite, which is
Mhm.
they approach their fat loss journey, for example, with the mindset of I'm gonna accomplish fat loss, but I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make sure I go out a couple times in the weekend, get the burgers in, and like still have all that
Mhm.
fun stuff. And they're gonna, that's the priority. That's the priority. I'm gonna
Yep.
accomplish fat loss, but I'm gonna make those other things fit in. But I think it should actually be flipped around, like you noted. And I think this is what you mean. You can let me know
Yep.
if I'm kind of off course on this, but I think perhaps the best place to start is like get really, really good at the fundamentals and basics of fat loss. Like get really good at those 6 days of the week and
Yeah.
learn and don't throw it all away on the seventh day, but get really good at those 6 days, learn how to actually fat loss diet, incorporate exercise
Yeah.
into your routine regularly, and then learn how to do the
Yeah.
social eating and the fun stuff, but focus
Yeah.
on the fundamentals first. It's like, it reminds me of that quote. I think it's a Pablo Picasso quote where he said something like, "You need to learn the rules before you break them."
Mm, mhm,
So it's like the
mhm.
same thing. Learn how to fat loss diet, learn how to eat in a deficit, learn how to
Yeah.
make your meals satiating, get enough protein, and then you can start to figure out how to fit in the
Yeah.
socially, like what you've learned how to do.
Well, and it's funny, I think we've talked about this, and a lot of this is like you take those 3 months, you reset, and also, like, you become aware. So, legit this weekend, we cooked out, and we had, burgers and brats, and I can't help myself when I was making the burgers, I looked at it, it's like 97% or 93% lean, and I'm like, "Oh, cool, 170 calories per patty, not bad, right?" And I look at the brat, and I'm like, 280 calories per brat. This is ridiculous. You know what I mean? But I still ate it. But like I'm aware.
Yep.
So as before I would not have looked at the calories per each type of food. And then as I go on these journeys, you understand how you can eat very similar. Just there's like the foods out there nowadays, like there's so many options. I was literally I had a protein shake after dinner and I'm looking at I finished the milk and I drink the Fairlife, the fat free, and
Heck
I was like,
yeah.
look, and I'm looking at it and it's like comparing regular milk, and I'm like, 13 grams of protein versus 8, like half the amount of sugar, half the amount of calories. Why would anyone drink normal milk? Right? Like, and my wife's like, well, because this is expensive. I'm like, well, okay, touche. But I was like, but like, we've talked about this in the past. Like, healthy food is quote unquote sometimes more expensive, but you're more full. Like, you're satiated. Like, you're not going to eat, like, you eat a ton of protein. You're not going to go and eat a bag of chips over and over and over and over and over. So, it's just interesting. You become more aware, and you can actually still have a really, I would say, the stereotypical fun diet, but you just have to pick and choose what brands you're getting when you shop. Look at the packaging. Don't buy the cheapest thing. Don't buy like the name brand that you see on all the like. There's a ton of stuff that you can do um, to still kind of be okay. But I think being aware of it's a lot of it.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely agree. And that really is the key is first developing the awareness by putting in a little bit of energy and time and effort and at some point maybe learning how to track calories and macros and having a meal plan, putting that knowledge into use for a while, like what you did, the
Mhm.
couple big serious fat loss phases that you had, and then you develop the awareness, and then it's like right now when you are describing um, like the burger and the stuff with it, like you're probably not tracking those numbers on
Yep,
paper,
correct.
right? Like you're just,
Mhm.
it's almost like you're keeping like some mental notes, like a
Yeah.
mental tally almost. So at least have an idea of what's going on. And that can be enough to, at the very least, make sure that you don't like excessively overeat calories.
Mhm.
Um, when maybe you otherwise would if you didn't have that kind of awareness.
Yeah. I have a weird analogy when you said this about keeping it. This might be a little bit off topic, but those that golf will maybe understand. I don't know if you golf, Sam.
I don't, but I'm gonna try to keep up.
Okay, well, no, it's like so when I first started golfing, I would have to keep the score, and I would have to, like I would almost after every hole be like, "Oh man, did I get a bogey, a double bogey? What did I get?" And like it would almost be forgotten. Basically, I could play around a golf now and not even keep score, and I could tell you the score at the end. like because I'm remembering like, okay, yeah, hey, on hole number 7, okay, great drive. Oh, the chip was awful. Okay, like, and then next thing you know, oh yeah, I shot this. So you kind of remember it. And I think that's very similar as you play more and remember things. You don't have to write down everything because at the end of the day, I could tell you, yeah, I probably ate today 2,500 calories, give or take, 100 or 200, like here or there, right? Because I didn't weigh stuff. Like really relatively pretty easy, and I didn't look at it in the computer. And even like, and I'll reset every week. If I eat like a certain type of food every week, I'm like, I'll put it in on a Monday. Okay, baseline, and I'll just deviate off of that depending on how I'm feeling. Like because I don't have a specific goal right now, so it's like, oh man, I'm a little bit hungrier. I had a second apple today, 80 more calories. Okay, cool. I don't like easy day. Next, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know if that golf analogy made sense. I don't know, but for the golfers, maybe they know.
It does make sense, and it makes me think this is how it is for me, is I tend to remember or to keep track of things that I think are important or that I'm prioritizing.
Mhm.
I'll just almost like sometimes it's almost involuntary. And this might not be the case for everyone. Um, but like with my training, for example, I keep track of all of my reps and my sets and how heavy I'm lifting and how I'm progressing for the most part. And I don't actually write anything down. I used to have spreadsheets, use an app, but I haven't for years and years and
Oh,
years.
nice.
And I don't have trouble remembering it for most exercises. But the ones that
Mhm.
I'm really keeping track of, I really don't have trouble remembering, and I think that's because it's just something that's important to me. Like, it's in the
Yep.
forefront of my mind, so I don't forget. I don't think
Yeah.
I mean,
I can
I'm
totally understand that.
imperfect.
Yeah, because I
So I
write
think
down
it's
everything still for the
yeah.
lifts, but it's like I already know, "Hey, last week I did
Yeah.
this for this because it's a goal too. It's like, I wanna do more this week, so what did my weight I did last week? I gotta go up by 5 pounds this week. You know what I mean? So, totally understand that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I had a thought about so we were talking about the holidays and how I failed miserably last year. So it's really funny because I was telling my wife how, hey, I'm doing my next show is Valentine's Day, which is awesome because then after I win my pro card on that one, knock on wood, we'll go out for a nice Valentine's Day dinner, you know. So, but it's gonna be through Thanksgiving and Christmas again.
Yep.
And talking about the first time you do something, it's you don't know how to navigate it, the family pressure, especially. I mean, my wife's side of the family loves like Christmas and stuff, and like so Christmas dinner, we're making a ham, we're doing all this stuff. Um, so you have that pressure of the family, and you don't want to disappoint, especially those who know like moms cook. You know, like you can't be pissing off mom. Um,
Mhm.
but because I think 2 things that's gonna help me this year is I went through it last year, I learned, I know what mistakes to avoid, and also my family also, like you pointed out, understands now. So they saw what I was able to do, and I had a great physique. They're like, "Oh, Zach's gonna prep now." Now, like, I also will probably I mean, unless you tell me I can't, I will probably plan to have higher calories those days, and you know me, I'll be crazy the days before and, like, go ultra low maybe, I don't know, like, I'll do something, but I know what I'm gonna avoid. I'm gonna avoid like the mac and cheese. I'm not gonna do the pie. Ugh, I love the pie, right? Like, but like turkey's not bad for you, depending on how it's cooked, right? Like, like ham, okay, right? But like we got some protein. So like I think there's some ways you can make those traditional like holiday meals fit for those specific things without completely blowing up the family dynamic and like, making them all upset. But I'm looking forward to it this year is almost a challenge. Like, to see how I do and if I can improve. And improvement's all I want to do. So if I do better this year than last year through that holiday season. Um, so I don't know if that resonates, if that makes sense. Or if you're gonna let me eat. I don't know. You might not let me. You might be like, no, 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 you can't have any of this. You're having chicken and rice. There you go.
No, I think that's a perfectly viable approach. So something like in the context of prep, where overall the goal is fat loss to get ready for stage lean over a certain period of time. So for Christmas, for example, or Thanksgiving, you could assign that as a refeed day. So it's going to be a high calorie day. So it's planned that there's going to be more calories eaten. And then you could choose to not weigh anything and then go by satiety levels, so appetite, so making sure that you eat to fullness or maybe just a little bit below complete fullness, so where you're like almost have like tiny bit of an edge of hunger still, but where you have it like a full plate of food, you prioritize getting a good chunk of protein, maybe using some visual estimations as to the amount that you're eating of the protein, and then filling
Mhm.
up on like what you perceive as being the lower calorie foods. And you'll probably be at least ballpark within whatever the calorie range that we aim for will be. So that's a perfectly viable approach. I would be totally cool with that. I can tell you about the approach that I took when I went on holiday I went on an 8-day holiday
8
in
days.
yeah, in my prep in 2023. I can tell you what I did for that. I didn't track anything for that. I ended up actually losing like 3 or 4 pounds. I
Nice.
didn't know what was gonna happen, but that was what happened. So actually I ended up losing fat throughout the entire holiday, which was great. I still had a good holiday. But anyways, sticking with the holiday meal, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do for Christmas because 'cause I'll be prepping at the same time as you,
Mhm.
is I think for me, what's gonna give me the most peace of mind is I'm probably gonna pack my food for
Mhm.
all holiday meals this time around, and I do so I'm trying to think if I've been in a prep during Christmas in the past, and I don't think I have. I think this is actually the
Ooh.
first
So
Christmas
I
that
might have
I've
some more experience than you in this case.
Yeah, you do. There you go. I have for many Easters, so
Okay, got it.
that's something, but not Christmas, and I don't think Thanksgiving. So that
Student
will
becomes the
be
master, okay?
there you go. So I think what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna bring my food with me,
Mhm,
or at the very least, I'll bring my food scale and improvise and use the food scale, mostly to give me some peace of mind, just to make sure that I don't overdo it for myself because my personality benefits from that. Even if I
mhm,
didn't use the food scale and just estimated, I would physiologically probably be absolutely 100% A-okay. It's mostly my personality from a psychological standpoint, having the peace of mind of either having a prepared meal or prepared meals ready to go that are exactly within my calories that I prescribe for myself, or just like weighing whatever food's there, like weighing the turkey or weighing the whatever my
mhm.
family cooks. That'll give me just some like mental peace of mind. I think that's the approach I
Yeah,
would take. Personality, I think, plays a huge role in it, and I know for
yeah,
me that I get stressed. I get stressed when I'm second guessing myself and I'm not tracking things sometimes. So it's just at the end of the
mm.
day, it's easier.
Yeah, I kinda wanna maybe dive into that a little bit about personalities because I think I I'm very extroverted. And we host a ton. And I think it's also like maybe when you're hosting, you can kind of get away with it because you're busy like feeding everyone else and stuff. But I don't know. It's just it's hard because when your personality is like go, 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 host, party, go out, but then you have this goal of like not doing the things they tie in with that, it can really like it's like this mental like back and forth that you have in your brain. It's like I want to do these social things, but what does our society tell us to do on social things? Eat and drink. Like, how often do people just come over and hang out and talk? No, they always have to have the nuts or the chips or the whatever, like crack a beer. Like, I love sitting around bonfires talking about anything. Right? I love playing board games with friends. Like, well, why? There's always got to be food, and that's a society thing. Me and you are not going to be able to change, right? Like, so I think we're going to have to learn how to deal with that and be in that environment and offer those things for people that want them that don't have maybe the same goals. But I think for me, that's very, very difficult because I want to be a good host. So like when people are coming over, I'm gonna have everything that you ever want. We're gonna have what kind of beer you want, what kind of liquor, do you want like chips, healthy stuff? We got salad, we whatever you want, I'm gonna provide. But then it's there and I'm tempted. You know me and my sweet tooth. It's like I made these cookies for you guys. Oh, you ain't gonna eat these? I guess I gotta eat these cookies. So I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Like, I mean, I guess just for different personalities and those that are out here listening that are extroverted or like to go out, um, how do you think that plays into it? What do you think they could do to help them with that?
I think a lot of people can relate to those challenges, and myself included. I think those are some of the most difficult parts about not overdoing it in social settings for me as well. But this is what helps me. A couple things. Hopefully I remember both of them. So the first thing is my initial mindset approach to the social gathering. Let's say hypothetically I'm hosting something where I prepare all the food for my guests. Um my mindset is going to be I am going to host and prepare all these foods for my guests, but for me, and they're going to eat it and they can do whatever they want. But
Mhm,
for me, the important thing for me is the social part, not
mhm,
the
mhm.
eating part. So
Yeah,
that's my mindset is I'm going into it with a clear expectation that I'm not going to eat or overeat or what I'm going to deviate from my plan, whatever that is. And I'm going to prioritize social eating. I do that all the time now when I go out and I eat with my family on weekends or like when my brother comes down next weekend. That's my mindset is we're gonna have
mhm.
lots of meals together and I'm gonna want to eat more, but the priority isn't gonna be the eating part of the social eating. It's gonna be
Yeah.
the social part of the social eating. So I'm keeping from a mindset perspective, that's the number one goal. The that's gonna be the priority
Mhm.
for the social event. Um, I had another one. Shoot, what is it? The other one was good. Social eating.
Well,
Let
while
me
you're
see.
thinking about that, I have a thought.
Okay. Okay.
So, I think your social aspect, I think is a great point. I just came to this. I
Oh, I
think this.
remembered.
Oh,
Keep
go
going.
ahead. Yes, no, no, go. You got it. If I forget though, this is your fault. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. So here's another one, and this is another mindset thing. I also go into it, and I mentioned this, but I go into it with the expectation that I might want to overeat calories. I'll probably
Mhm.
have the desire to. If there's chips and super delicious stuff, goodies on the table, um, I'm probably going to a part of me is gonna want it. It's gonna crave it. I'm gonna have a
Mm.
desire for it.
Mhm.
But this is actually something that I think is really cool. A really cool part of fat loss dieting or natural bodybuilding is you get to practice this very specific skill, which is saying no to your base cravings, feelings, and desires. So
Yeah.
you're developing the skill of not being a slave to your feelings.
I
That's
like
pretty
that's
cool,
deep. That's deep.
especially in I'm glad I remembered it. Especially especially in this day and age where
Yes.
so much of, like, what's preached in society is, "Oh, you should just do what feels good in the moment. You should,
Yeah. And
just go
instant
with the flow."
gratification, get rid
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's a big part of the cultural norm.
Mhm.
And I think it's actually a very cool and funny enough, a unique skill, a rarer skill
Yes.
nowadays to actually train yourself to say no sometimes to your feelings, your emotions, your cravings, the things that are actually going to get in away from the greater
Mhm.
things that you want. So if
Yeah,
that's another mindset thing going into these social gatherings
dude,
that
I love that because I've always been amazed, like, humans compared to animals and what makes us different and all this sort of stuff, and it's like our ability to control our animalistic instincts, right? Like, we want to go eat something, we want to go do something right then, but, like, we have this critical thinking that we can decide, and I've always said, like, I will not be overcome by my emotions, I am in control, right? So if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm going to do that thing, right? And I think we've talked about this in the past with goals. I'm a very big, like, I like to publicly announce my goals because it's like I'm going to do this. I said I'm going to do it. Like I'm going to will it to existence. I'm going to make it happen. I think we could probably deep dive into this and maybe another episode for specifically, but this is the big thing for drinking for me. Told myself not going to drink, right? Like and just telling myself that, and like people said there's no way you can give up drinking. I'm like, are you telling me as a human being, like I can't control that? Like I'm telling you right now, my willpower is stronger than that desire, and I'm going to prove it. You know, like, and I
Yeah,
just, yeah, like,
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and and the pressure of drinking was even worse than eating. You know, I mean, that's like a whole separate,
Yeah.
thing about that. But I wanted to prove to myself that I'm going to do what I say what I do, um, and kind of overcome that. I think, and it's weird how I think some people think drinking is harder. I think giving up drinking is easier because I think drinking through studies has been proven that it's not good for you, right? In really all aspects. I'm not, if anyone wants to drink, it's cool, right? Like, but like, there's really not a net positive in any aspect. Whereas it's harder for me to justify that for food because food is not bad. It's how many you eat, right? Like, and so that for me is a little bit, it's actually harder because it's a gray area, whereas like the alcohol is like, oh, this is bad. So it's easy for me to cut it off. Um,
It's like you
so
need food to live, though. So, like,
yeah,
you got to find some middle ground in there. The secret is just like not to cross over the threshold. That's the difficult part.
yes.
Definitely. No, I love that. And that alcohol example is really good. I think that both of these examples, so practicing the skill of like not overeating because you
Hmm.
want to, or practicing the skill of taking out alcohol even though you know you like it, but at the end of the day it's not good for you, so you override your desires and take it out altogether. I think that makes you stronger. I think it's
Hmm.
literally made you stronger from practicing that skill.
Yeah.
This is why, okay, kind of controversial here. Um, I've okay, the whole Ozempic thing.
Okay. Yes.
There's there's lots of schools of thought on this. There's lots of opinions on this, and I've really struggled to figure out what my opinion on Ozempic is. That being so, when it first came out and I started to understand what exactly it is and why people use it, it made sense to me why people do it. I can see the physiological problems that can come from it, but I can also see the great things that can also come from it. But even so, after looking at and weighing out the cost benefit
Mhm.
of taking it or not taking out, I intuitively felt like something's off about it. Like for some reason, like
Yeah.
I'm not in favor of it. And I've had difficulty articulating
Relating why.
why I think that is, because it's been a very intuitive feeling, like hard to put words to, hard to explain. And here's what I think
Hmm.
a part of that reason is, after, thinking about it for a long time, is this exact thing. Is it's a means of skipping the skill of using self-control. And that might
Hmm.
sound really crappy. And I know that this is a really hard thing for a lot of people. And this is not to be condescending
Hmm.
or to
Hmm.
put anyone off that genuinely struggles with this, because I get it. Like it is really hard to, like, it's so much easier said than done to like not overeat calories or to stick with a diet or a fat loss
Yeah.
plan. I get it. I know it's really tough. But I think that there is something not good about skipping the skill of applying self-control, that's really what it is, to controlling your food habits, your eating habits, skipping that, having the medication
Yeah.
instead. That's what it is, more or less, and skipping that step. I think
Yeah.
that's what it is that's off-putting to me.
It's almost like the destination is not the reward, it's the journey and what you've learned, right? And if you think about like, I don't know if
Yeah.
you've done a cross country trip. Me and my wife have driven cross country a couple times, and yes, we went from Virginia to California. What do I remember about that trip? We lived in California after that, but like we all the stops and the journey across, right? And those are the memories that you have. And being in the cars together, right? Like and all these things like that just made our that trip memorable, made our bond stronger, right? Like all these things. I think you can apply that same kind of analogy to that. Like I think the Ozempic and all the other ones, like net positive probably for society. I think less obesity issues are probably just good on the healthcare system, on people's overall health. Maybe they have more time to go do other things that are positive in life, but we're missing out on a key component. And I think that's the skill of self-discipline because we've talked about this. You can apply that skill in other aspects of your life, like not just with fitness or not just with dieting, just anything. You have the skill to sit through a brief or a meeting or go to the work call or go there and be for your friends or whatever it is you need to do, and not always getting the instant gratification. So I definitely agree with you. It's just really hard to articulate because at a certain point, like we're not science deniers, right? Like I'm not
Yeah.
still on the horse and buggy. Like the car is probably awesome, like so we do optimize, and our life has become so easy that we have to create these things called gyms to like get in shape. Where in the old days, people were just in shape because they had to be to
Carmen.
survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, but where's the tipping point? You know, I love that saying of like, hard times make strong men make good times make weak men. I feel like we're kind of on that, like,
Yeah.
um,
Well, I think you're I think I love the analogy about the cross country trip, about the journey. I think that's right on the money with this whole thing. And you're right, like on paper right now, net positive, Ozempic, um, obesity levels go down, um, easier on the healthcare system, so on and so forth. What it might not lead to though, I still don't think it's the ideal. Like, I
mhm,
think that,
mhm,
yes, net positive, but still not the ideal. So you can imagine a world where everyone learned and practiced that extra skill of self-control to create stronger people
mhm.
through going through with the journey. I think that's the ideal. I think that would lead to a overall better result, but it's so easy to say that, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's so much easier said than done. But that would be, I think that's the ideal. I don't know if the ideal is possible, but yeah,
yeah.
it's
I also, so when you were talking about going back, when you're talking about like activities, when you're wanting to hang out with people is for the social aspect of it.
yeah.
I think one thing with both Ozempic and just in general social aspects, I think people don't do enough physical social activities, right? And so I think
Okay. Okay.
combined with eating right and dieting, but when you're doing a social setting, if you're just sitting at a brewery, I know there's a lot of breweries out there in Canada. There's a ton down
Oh
here in
yeah.
North Carolina.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like you go to a brewery to hang out and socialize, and there's nothing to do there except drink and eat some like food truck food, right? But if you're going golfing and you're walking the course, or if you're going out and playing some soccer, or you're just doing anything physical, you're still socializing, but you're adding a physical component to it, right? And I'm a big fan of like run clubs for this sense. I think just men getting together and exercising and then talking about things and socializing is a great thing. But I think you're basically removing the opportunity to eat because the social aspect doesn't give you the time. So like when you're out playing a softball game with the boys, when you're not eating a burger, you're playing a softball game. So like you're getting the positive of socializing and exercise, which is only going to benefit your fat loss journey because you're getting extra steps, you're getting more active, you're surrounding yourself with people who are also into active things. And therefore, it's like this just circle of positivity instead of being at a brewery where everyone just wants to drink and eat food. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that's also a really, really good point. It's like, I actually look at this is a little bit of a deviation, but I actually think about my training session that I throw in the middle of the day. I throw that in the middle of the day, like around lunchtime, almost strategically, because the act of doing something active like a training session, it keeps my mind off of eating because I'm focusing on lifting. And then also when you do something like rigorous, like exercise, a rigorous activity like that, your cortisol levels spike, which suppresses appetite. So it actually is like,
Yes.
usually I get hungry at that time of the day if I don't go to the gym. But if I go to the gym, I'm not hungry at that time of the day because cortisol levels are a little bit higher, and I'm thinking about doing that activity. So yeah, I can definitely see that too in the context of a social gathering where you're focused on like having fun playing soccer, or like, I don't know, do you guys have, for whatever reason, I just
Ice
have like
hockey. Just
axe
kidding. Yes, axe
axe
throwing.
throwing seems to be like a big thing nowadays, or
Yep.
it has been for the
Yep.
last little while. I don't know, that was like, you said something that fun that you do that's physical with your friends, and I just thought of axe throwing. I've never done it, but maybe that's
So
subconscious that I want to do
the
that.
the problem with axe throwing is a lot of times there are places that have like beers and stuff, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
kind
it's
of
like
like is
How
this
do
the
you come out of
safest
that alive?
thing? Right? Like,
Yeah,
but I have done axe throwing with my dad, and my dad makes his own. He has a blacksmith shop out in the mountains or whatever.
sweet.
So we've done axe throwing out in the mountains because he makes them himself and stuff like that. So maybe in that concept. But yeah, I've done
That'd
that
be sweet.
actually a couple times for different get-togethers and things like that. But even like I don't know if you do they have escape rooms up there?
Yep.
Me and my friends
There's
are
at least one in Kelowna. I think there might be
okay.
2.
Me and my friends, we do an escape room every year, and it's kind of cool because we've done more and more. We've gotten more proficient at them, and it makes it harder and harder, like our challenge. But again, you're in a room for an hour. You're not eating. You're doing something, right? Like it's not maybe the
Yeah.
most physical thing, but I think just tying socialization away from food, and I think staying busy. When you said that, this last 2 weeks, I've been in a lot of meetings, and every time we have a little break, I'm like, I want a snack. I don't know what it is because we've just been sitting in meetings, and it's like you just want to eat. But when I'm like in my normal routine, moving around, staying busy, and I like during that prep, I was telling you, I was hungry all the time, but I was staying busy. And in my first fat loss, I was staying busy. And the busier you are, the less time you have to eat. And I think, like you said, your body knows this, and you're actually not as hungry as you think you are. The boredom makes you hungry for whatever reason. I don't know why. There's probably some science behind this. But when you're sitting there watching
It's like being
Netflix,
fidgety. It's like you
yeah.
wanna you're doing nothing, you wanna, like, grab for something, you wanna, fidget around.
Mhm.
It's like, well, might as well go eat something.
Well, and like you said, it's the instinct that you want to eat and grab something, even though you maybe know you don't. And so by just staying busy, you're avoiding the decision fatigue to even have that. You don't even have to
Yeah.
decide that.
I find honestly, like, even just going for walks, sometimes
Mhm,
I feel an edge of hunger. It's like 2 hours before my planned meal, and I'm feeling like and my job is super sedentary. When I'm not working out, I'm sitting at my desk and
mhm.
not like I feel those feelings, the hunger feelings just from sitting and not moving. And sometimes like just getting myself to go for my like at regular afternoon or evening walk is enough
Yeah.
to keep me okay. And you know what's interesting is when you're talking about like doing activities, fun stuff in a social setting with your friends,
Mhm.
being something that can help to keep you from just like eating and drinking together and just taking in lots of calories. I was thinking, I wonder what I would do because different personalities, right? So my
Yep.
personality is like I'm like, "Oh, man, I would really struggle playing football or soccer with people or, like, doing some kind of a sport or whatever." But so, like, what's something that I could do? Because I agree, like,
Mhm.
being active and doing something where you're not thinking about food and being busy is really helpful. But I do think just something that I do really like doing is, like, a friend I'm visiting with a friend, we could just go for a walk. Like, you
Mhm.
go hang out with a buddy and go walk for, like, 2, 3, 4 hours,
Yeah.
easy. You're
Yeah.
active, and it's
Getting the
like
steps.
it's not it's not a sport that takes any skill where you can embarrass yourself like me playing soccer. I played soccer until I was in 12th grade,
Oh, you're
and
probably
it
good
was
then.
no, I was the worst player on the team. I was awful. The lifting makes up for me being, like, athletically challenged.
Oh, that's yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but walking is something that you can do with friends, and that definitely
Yeah. It's
keeps your head
funny,
off hunger.
me and the wife have been going for walks with our we have a new puppy, and so he gets, like, 3 walks a day.
Oh, yeah.
Hashtag Tucker's
It's a
running
lot of
journey.
work.
Check out my Instagram, Tucker's running journey. Um, but, so but I like to walk after eating dinner, and she likes to walk before eating dinner. And it's very interesting because, like, I like to I feel lethargic afterwards and just get it moving. But to your point, I think when we do go walk beforehand, I'm not as hungry afterwards. Also, I have a really bad problem. Even if we eat a normal food and we go for a walk, I get like a cramp right away. Just walking. It's gotta digest and it's like painful.
Yeah, I get
Um,
it.
but I was thinking about the sedentariness. So even those that are sedentary, for those gamers out there, I like to play on but I have like a controller, and I was thinking about this. When you're playing a game, the key to not eating is to have two hands on your controller. Because if you have two hands on the controller, you can't eat anything. And then
There
if you
you
do
go.
eat the snacks, then it's like on your controller, and no one wants to do that, right? So
Yeah,
like even me, like when I do have my random gaming sessions, I won't ever eat when I'm gaming because I'm in it. I need two hands. I'm playing first person shooters. So I think we talk a lot about lifestyle and being physically active. I think if you are sedentary and you like to play video games, I think there's still ways that you can avoid just eating the Doritos behind the desk while you're playing video games. Like, use 2 hands, have a nice controller, buy a nice one so that way you don't get Cheeto, dust on them and stuff like that. Just things like that. I think little tricks and tips.
100%. You
Yeah.
just brought back some memories of like being in high school and
And
playing,
eating? Just kidding. No, no.
yeah. See, I'm like you,
Yeah.
where I don't like it when food and like grease gets on like a
Yeah.
PS5 controller or
Right?
like an Xbox controller. But I remember this really bothered me when I'd game with my friends like Call of Duty, Halo back
Mhm.
in high school. Um, when they would touch my Xbox controllers with after like grabbing Doritos, it used to like make me cringe every time. So, anyways, just brought that memory back. Haven't thought about that for a while,
Giving
but
you trigger points.
yeah, triggered.
Well, it's kind of
But
like, I mean, I know you're a musician, I'm a musician. It's the same thing when I'm playing my trumpet. I hate eating and then playing the horn. Like, I have to wash my mouth out, like, and all this
yep.
stuff. Same thing. So if I'm in a good practice session, I'm not going to be eating during that time. So I think the point of all of it is to kind of strategically plan, and that's a lot of this, right? Planning, being aware, just things that you're not going to just sit around and eat. And then if you are at home and you're just watching Netflix, like, and I know this is easier said than done, and I've learned this, and it's very difficult for me now even. I just go to bed early now. And my wife's like, "Oh, you're going to bed?" I'm like, "Yes." Like, "What are we doing? We're just gonna sit here and watch like a rerun of The Office?" Like, I'm gonna go. Are we watching a movie or are we going? Like, what are we doing? So then I'll just go to bed, get my sleep, and therefore I'm not tempted to sit there and eat a snack because I know if we sit down and watch a movie, I'm gonna be like, popcorn at least it's healthier, right? And then
Yeah.
I did something I didn't have to do, and I always feel like crap about it the next day. Um,
Yeah.
so
I
yeah, I
think
think
mindset is so important where it's like you have an idea of what the goal is, the thing that's really important that you're trying to accomplish. So with
Mhm.
like dieting and not overeating, like fat loss is the goal. It's like if you have that as a goal and it's really, really important, then you're more likely to find ways to make it work, whether that be just like going to bed early to avoid the
Mhm.
temptation of like late night eating or to do things like planning your meals ahead or packing meals with you when you go to social gatherings and
Mhm.
being okay with people sometimes giving you funny looks, family, friends being like, why are you eating out of
Yeah,
Tupperware?
yeah,
But like if at the end of the day, if the goal is it's like super, super important and it outweighs the discomfort that might come from the extra planning or the awkwardness and eating from Tupperware, then I think that's what can lead you to be more likely to make the whole thing work.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I love it. I think being focused, having a goal, having the support system around you. I don't know. I don't know if you could maybe trying to think about how to kind of condense it all, like because I think it's tough because there's different goals, right? Some people, if you're doing a bodybuilding, specific things maybe for the social settings that we have to figure out. If you're just trying to get the summer bod, or if maybe you just want to lose 20 pounds, just because, like, like I think those are all different. I don't know if the approaches are all the same, but like, what do you think is like something that could be sustainable? Because I think like obviously we've talked about like a bodybuilding approach, like for a show, you're not gonna be able to sustain that fat loss phase for that long, right? And there is phases, right? You just finished your little bulk and you're starting to cut now. So like, how does someone who's in that fat loss phase? It's got to be a phase, right? At a certain point, then it
Mhm,
turns to just like maintenance and
mhm.
staying there. Or if their goal changes, maybe they want to get a little bit, maybe a little more calories at this, whatever's going on at this point. Um, and then not letting social aspects, like, do you think they should change that social aspects? Okay, hey, I'm in a bulk now. Now I'm going to completely change my habit. Like, does that make sense? What I'm saying? Like, hey, now we can go out to the brewery and have a ton of drinks just because I'm in the bulk phase, but not in this other phase. Or do you think, hey, I'm going to kind of try to be the same discipline on my lifestyle, regardless of the calories I'm eating? Like those two things are separate; they're not combined. If that makes sense, what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. I think it's a really good question. I think that you can apply a lot of the habits that you build when you're in a fat loss phase, so maybe being like doing all the pre-planning for meals when you go and you eat out with family and friends, packing meals with you, looking up the menu items online, like see if the calories are listed online, having a meal plan that you follow regularly, if that's how you stick within your calories, like that's what I do. Like all of those are habits that you practice during a fat loss phase. And then let's say you reach your fat loss goal and then you shift to maintenance or even a slight surplus for lean bulking or something like that to prioritize muscle growth. What I would do, I think it's context dependent. It depends on the person and the personality. But what I like to do is I like to keep a lot of the base habits and principles that I followed during a fat loss phase, and I still like to apply like 80 to 90% of them in a lean bulk phase because it's
Mhm.
easier for me. Like I like sticking with the meal plan
Yeah.
because it's simple and easy, and I already know I like the meals. So if it's not broken, then why change it?
Mhm.
So I'll usually stick with a lot of my base structure, and then I'll just like add more food, and then going out to like restaurants and that sort of thing, I might do things like not look up the menu items before I
Oh.
go out, or or um or order things that I know have more calories because it's cool. I got more calories. I can be more flexible and I won't
Mhm.
worry as much about it. But I will still keep like my regular eating structure, 3 meals per day, for
Yeah.
example, maybe still have a meal plan. Um, but that's the way that I prefer it. I like it like that. And I think that I think it's a good point to bring this up too. A lot of people do struggle after they accomplish a fat loss goal, and then they don't stick with any
Mhm.
structure after that point, or they just throw all those habits, the things that you haven't done. No, you've done great. You've been crushing every phase that you've been in. But anyways, I think that's what can happen to a lot of people is like they really rebound from throwing all
Mhm.
of their habits and what they've learned out the window. And it's like, well, now I'm back literally to square one. And that sucks.
Yeah, that's so 2 points. I think I was kinda joking with me, but that's because that's how I feel right now about my goals, but I'll talk about
But
that
that
in
your
a second.
context's different because you're coming
Yeah.
from a bodybuilding competition and you gotta gain body fat back. Like
Yeah.
you have to. You
Yeah,
have
and I know
to.
what you're saying, like, we've all seen those really awesome stories of people losing 100 pounds,
Yeah.
and then I'm always very sad when 3 years later they're back, it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, man, you had it." You know what I mean? But I think your great point about personalities. I mean, we haven't really dove into this dive dived into this as much.
Divin.
Divin,
Divin.
divin. I like that in between. So it's interesting because you and I have a lot of same, I guess, philosophical and fundamental beliefs on things, but I think our personalities are completely different. And that manifests in how we train, and I think also how we approach our diets. So, like, you were very disciplined, I would say, throughout and very consistent, and you have these little changes like you talked about. Whereas I feel like I am an all in, all out kind of person. So it's like when it's go time for the prep, I am locking in and I'm going extremely hard. But when I am like, hey, it's lean bulk time, I am locking out, right? And
You're lean
eating,
bulking hard.
yes, you know what I mean? So it's like when I was thinking about it as you're saying, I was like, that is kind of true because I will just outwork the the negative maybe aspects. I don't know. It's just interesting. I think knowing your personality and and owning it and working towards whatever works for you. We were talking about before we went live, like about our training and difference between like controlled technique versus me kind of maybe just muscling the weight up sometimes and pros and cons. And I think ultimately what works best for your personality type to keep you consistent, to keep you happy, to keep you motivated. Um, I just never really thought about that with dieting. And I think as I am learning this after the prep and how I responded afterwards, because like you said, it is a little bit different coming off a show, and I'm like struggling with that because I've never done that before, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out that fine balance. Like I look at what I weigh right now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm the heaviest I've been since I did that first fat loss journey, right? But then it's like everything in perspective. I look at the pictures and I look at my performance in the gym, and I'm like, I'm faster, stronger. I look like my 30-inch waist like pants still fit. So obviously it's not there. Like so those are things you have to keep reminding yourself, okay, it's okay, stuff like that. But I really like your take on personalities. That's something I'm going to maybe like kind of think about more in the future and see how I can, you know.
And here's another variable too, and this is in alignment with the whole personality thing. So like let's say you finish a fat loss phase and then you want to build muscle after that. Maybe you actually give yourself a window of I'm going to allow myself gain a certain amount of weight back over X amount of time to give yourself space to eat in maybe a larger surplus, but you actually give yourself permission to do that, knowing that maybe you're just going to do a fat loss phase again in the future, and you're cool with that. This
Mhm,
is this is coming off of a fat loss phase. So in this context, you would know you can already accomplish fat loss because you've been through a fat loss phase once, which means that you could do it again. So you could periodically include these fat loss phases every 6 to 12 months
mhm.
or whatnot to allow yourself to gain weight in between them, which would probably to some extent help with building muscle
Yeah.
and allowing you a little bit more room for flexibility with your calories or social meals to be able to just eat more food or eat different kinds of food or whatever. Um, it might allow for a little bit of extra flexibility if
Mhm.
and that suits a lot of people's personalities really well. Not it doesn't work for everyone because sometimes
Yeah.
people would prefer to get lean, reach their goal weight, and then they want to stay there. That might be like a little bit of a different story.
Mhm.
But, yeah, it depends. I
Yeah.
think that's a variable that you have control over, and you can decide based off of your personality or purely from your goals or a combination of your goals and your personality of
Yeah.
what you're gonna do with that
Dude,
variable.
I feel like that's like me to a T right now because it's like worked hard for the show, and then I had, like, a couple months without any specific goals, and I knew I wanted to get the 1,000-pound club, I wanted to put a ton of muscle on. I put a ton of weight on fast, and but I felt healthy. It didn't feel like I was gorging myself. I was just kinda eating, right? And performance is good, and now I'm like, "Okay, now it's getting close to marathon prep, so now I gotta start locking in, and then I'm gonna lock in some more," right? Like, so it's like a phased approach. So it's like, okay, had some fun, rebounded, gained some, lifted heavy, and I mean, you know this. I need a goal, I need a date, I need something, and if it's too far out, it's like, okay, I'm a procrastinator, so I have too much time. So it's like I need these things, and I think that's important for some people to have that goal so they don't like they make this progress like we're talking about, but if they don't have a long-term goal of like maintaining it or a lifestyle change, really that's what that is. If they don't have that skill set, then I think they need to keep giving themselves goals. If they don't, they're eventually going to fall back to those habits. Um,
Yeah.
so I
Uh,
think it depends if you're a goal person or if you're a lifestyle like person. Like you are like very lifestyle like focused, right? Like you have your consistency, like regardless, I think. But
yeah.
like I think someone like me is a goal, and if I didn't have my goals, I could see myself slipping back. Um, yeah,
Yeah. And that could be as simple as having, like, a goal of like, just cut and bulking and, like,
yeah,
no competitions, like, no bodybuilding. Maybe you're not even a sports person, you just lift and their body composition goals. So, purely,
mm-hmm.
it could be just like, "Okay, I'm gonna bulk for 6 to 12 months or 6 to 18 months," or whatever you decide, a long
Mm-hmm.
bulk, short
Hmm.
bulk, and then I'm gonna do a cut. So, you've always got your eyes on the horizon to what the next thing is going to be to help change things a little bit. As you
Yeah.
noted, like, have different phases. That can be enough for a lot of people.
It's almost like nature planned that where we can bulk in the winter when it's cold out and we don't take our shirt off, and we cut in the summer when it's hot out and we do take our shirts off. Like
As long as we're living fairly north of the equator, then yes, definitely. We just
yeah,
gotta make
maybe
sure that we're not, like, all living in Hawaii or anything like that,
yeah,
so
true. And or if you're crazy like me and do our cuts in the winter. Doesn't make any
that
sense.
too, that too. I'm like that though. When I after every bodybuilding competition that I've done, I've let myself gain a significant amount of weight in a
Yeah.
relatively short period of time, and then I do the cutting approach, and then
Oh,
either
you
I'll
Larry
like, my
Larry
next cut
Wheels
will just
here.
Yeah, yeah, not quite that much, but along those lines. That's kinda been my personality, and it's been okay so far.
Yeah. And I think it's just everything with time, like being okay with yourself and, you know, specifically for those that do bodybuilding for me is like not comparing myself to the best of the best day I was at. You know, 'cause that's still hard for me to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Your thoughts on perspective are really important though, because it's like, I mean, for you, it's like you noted, it's like maybe this is the heaviest you've been in a couple of years, but you're also probably the leanest you've ever been at that body weight
yeah,
before, which
that's a
means
good
that you
point. Yep.
built, like you noted, it's like significant amount of extra muscle and strength along the way. So with that perspective, it's like, hey, that's not so bad.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, it's kind of funny because I don't I still don't think I mean, I still don't think I look jacked, right? But when you're a little bit fuller, like you fill out your shirts a little bit more, people like think I'm jacked, right? And but I'm like, "Oh yeah, but my six pack, like shredded six pack is not as defined, right?" But they don't see that. You know, like they just see you in a shirt and so like you kind of still get that normal comfortable feeling of just normalness. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. It's I think that's one of the positives of be of not being super, super shredded. So, like, maybe being, like, on surplus calories or, like, being on a little bit of a lean bulk, you fill out a little bit more, you have a little bit more body fat, but your muscles fill out more too. So then, like, your t-shirt muscles, like, pop out more.
Yeah,
So you look
t-shirt muscles. I
you look
love it.
yeah, you pop you look bigger in your clothes, which is, like,
Yeah.
that's a huge that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
one of the bonuses of, like, of being, like, in a lean bulk phase versus in, like, being deep in a cut or a shredding
mhm,
phase. Like, you know, it's like you get the closer you get to, like, for bodybuilding, for example, the closer you get to stage, the looser your clothes are and
yeah.
the more it feels like you're getting smaller and you're shrinking, which kinda sucks. So it's the
Yeah,
opposite of that. You feel
yeah,
bigger,
yeah. The only
but
benefit is the vascularity, I feel like. You get that with the
true.
leaning out, you know, which
Yeah.
makes up for the lack of the size.
Yep.
Um,
Definitely.
so I guess, speaking of social eating, you have some
Yep.
social events coming up with your family. Um, how are you gonna handle that? And you've also just recently started your bodybuilding prep and a little bit of a fat loss phase. You're what, a week into it.
Yep.
So, how are you feeling, and how are you gonna approach this coming up weekend? Are you gonna go on a binger and lose it all after 1 week?
I hope not.
But think about it, you're only a week in, so if you start over, it's not that big of a lot of progress you've lost.
It's a slippery slope falling into that mindset. Um, yeah. So I'm a week into my fat loss phase for prep. It's gonna be a super, super long prep, really early into it. But I want to make sure that I'm practicing the habits that I'm gonna be practicing when I'm like a week out. I want to make sure I'm practicing that right now, starting from the top. And that doesn't mean eating the same number of calories I'll be eating when I'm
Mhm.
a week out, but doing things like having my regular eating structure and just sticking with my parameters. I want to make sure I'm putting that into practice. So this weekend I'm gonna go stay at my mom's place for 2 nights, I think, and my brother's gonna be there. He's coming from out of town, so it's just gonna be the three of us, I think. And I think we're gonna go out for dinner both of the nights that we're there, and then the rest it's gonna be on me for my lunches and my dinners. So what am I gonna do? I'm still gonna stick with my calorie parameters and my eating structure. I'm going to bring my groceries with me. So she lives only like 30 to 45 minutes away. So it's going
Okay.
to be easy for me to go to grocery trip the day before, buy all the groceries that I need. I'm not going to really prep my meals. I'm just going to take the raw ingredients with me and then I'm going to cook them when I get there. So for my breakfasts and my lunches, they're going to be virtually the same meals that I would eat at home. For the dinners, because I think we'll probably go out for dinner both nights, I'm gonna do the old check the menu online trick. So
Okay, yep.
I can if everyone's indecisive about where we're going to eat and I don't
You're
know
gonna
until like
pick, yeah.
15 minutes before, I'll just look on my phone and I'll look while we're sitting at the restaurant. I'm going to take 2 seconds to look up the menu online to see if they have the calories listed of each menu item, and then I'll pick the item that fits my calorie parameters the best, or it stays within my calories, and I'll make sure it does.
Mhm.
Or if I know where we're going to be going, like 24 hours in advance, which I doubt I'll know, then I'll look it up way ahead of time and I'll be prepared. But it'll probably be the kind of thing where I'll know within somewhere between 15 minutes before we're there and a couple hours before we're there. So it'll be relatively
Yeah.
last minute. But
Nice.
that's it. It'll be
Awesome.
pretty simple. We're not having oftentimes, like when my brother and sister-in-law come down, we have like big family get-togethers, like potlucks. Like my mom will make a huge meal with tons of different side dishes and like a main protein source, like a turkey or lamb
Yeah.
or something like that, ham, something like that, and then tons of side dishes. And then my family will all bring their own thing. And in that context, I would do something different. If I was just in a maintenance or a lean bulk phase, I would eat all of the food that's there. I wouldn't track anything. I would just like kind of use visual estimations and make sure I don't overeat, basically. So I'll have like a plate full of food. I won't go back for seconds, but I'll
Yep.
make sure there's a big chunk of the plate that's filled up with the protein source. And then I'll stick mostly with what I think are going to be the lowest calorie stuff. So like usually someone will bring in like some kind of salad. Usually I will request or I will be the sous chef that cooks like grilled vegetables in the
Okay.
oven at some point. So I will prepare that if no one else does. Like that's what I did for the last family barbecue. And then I'll just like load half the plate with a ton of grilled vegetables, which is kind of what I do at home anyways for my regular meals. So then basically I would be eating the protein plus lots of vegetables, maybe a couple other side dishes, and my calories are probably going to be somewhere from middle of the road to like relatively low. So that's what I would do in a lean bulk phase or a maintenance phase. Now, if I was having a family barbecue or a gathering, which we're not this weekend, but if we were, and because I'm in prep, I'm like serious fat loss phase. I don't want to practice these habits all the way through. I think what I would do, and this is, I might not have to do this. I think I could probably do the visual estimation thing okay. But for my personality and to get peace of mind, I would probably opt to just prepare a meal and like Tupperware it. I wouldn't use
Yeah.
Tupperware. I would take it from the Tupperware and put it in a nice plate or bowl seriously so I don't stick out as much.
Yeah.
Even though my family doesn't really care at this point. But I probably would bring a prepared meal if it was if we did have like a potluck or something like that during my contest prep. That's
Yeah.
what I'll do with Thanksgiving and Christmas and
Yeah.
Easter too. I'll be prepping during Easter as well.
There you go.
This time,
Yes. Yes.
all the big ones.
Oh yeah. You get the trifecta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think? So when you'll be prepping during Thanksgiving and Christmas for yourself. And I guess we talked about this earlier, but you'll kind of do the visual approach. Do you think we'll probably
I think
prescribe like
so.
higher
If I
calorie
had,
days?
yeah, if I had to say right now, I think that's what I would do. I would maybe, yeah, because I'm probably not going to not eat like the turkey that my mom makes or whatever, right? Like, so I'll probably do a visual. I don't see myself being above bringing a scale, but then it doesn't. I don't know. You got to know what kind of meat, like how it's cooked. I don't know all the stuff that's
Yeah.
on it.
There's lots of
So
variables.
yeah, I honestly think just exercising a little bit of self control, not getting seconds, not getting a lot of bread, not getting the carbs, right? Like, and just being smart about it. But I think for me, it's the days before and days after that I let slip this last year, where it's like you have leftovers. There's a lot of Christmas cookies. My wife loves making Christmas cookies. There's like a joke now at work about me and my Christmas cookies because I just kept eating them. I couldn't stop myself. So I'm not going to do any of that this year. I say that, right? I'll probably mess up. I'll just be honest.
You'll be great. You'll be great.
um,
You'll be just
so
fine.
yeah, I think it'll be good. And so that's what I plan on doing that. I don't really know my goal right now starting July. That's July 1st, I start marathon training. And I haven't done enough research yet. I'm still gonna be researching a little bit about how to lose weight while prepping for a marathon. Last year I gained weight during the marathon, and you got to be really careful about that because you got to make sure you fuel for your performance. But probably just by not like eating like a jerk afterwards in the evenings and stuff. You can probably carb load the morning of. You can probably eat a good breakfast afterwards to get some protein after a long run. But then you just have a normal day after that. Probably is the best way to do it. Get a couple hundred extra calories in the mornings. It's probably what I'll do because I want to run the marathon lighter. Just so there's some studies. I don't know if I believe them. you run faster. Every pound is like so many seconds, whatever. Because muscle also, if you have more muscle, you're also going to run faster. If you have more muscle, like there's got to be like a lever of where that changes.
Yeah.
Especially for us average runners, the elite guys have to be like 120 pounds or whatever they weigh. But yeah, so that's kind of the big picture. But right now, I guess you could qualify me in a lean bulk right now. I don't know what I'm in, but this weekend, speaking of social gatherings, I'm having my first poker night since I had a poker night the weekend after the show. And it was like
That
a
was like March.
celebration poker night. Yeah, it was March, like the last weekend of March. And it was awesome. I had
3
all the
months ago.
cookies. Yeah. And then I just been so busy at work. And I don't know. I didn't have one in April. I didn't have one in May. Just timing didn't work. And all my friends were like, "What's going on? What's going on?" Because we had one every month. And I haven't gone to trivia night in forever. It's weird. Like my social life actually got less when I've been eating whatever I want. It's really I don't understand yet. I haven't figured this out. But I'm having poker night on Saturday, so I'm going to eat a ton of pigs in a blanket. And I don't like. So my plan
And
is
those are what you're preparing too, right?
yes. So I'm
Got
preparing
it.
those, and then my friends will bring their stuff. I'll have non-alcoholic beers that night because the guys will be over. I might even smoke a cigar, which I will maybe smoke 2 or 3 cigars a whole year. I might smoke one. It's not really good for the running, but yeah, that day though, I'm gonna run. I'm running 3 miles that morning, and then I'm hitting an epic leg day. So I'll probably eat like a Cliff Bar or oatmeal that morning before the run 3 miles, easy pace. I'm gonna do an epic leg day for 2 hours. I'm gonna come home, mow the grass, and then I'm gonna have poker night. So I probably won't eat anything, and then I'll eat like 4,000 calories in the evening. So that's probably what I'll do during my lean bulk.
I love the process of this plan formulating. That's awesome. Oh
But
man.
July 1st, I'm gonna lock more in because that's when I'm
Yeah.
performance based again. So
Yeah. That's awesome. Love it.
that's cool. Yeah. Sounds like we both got plans. I don't know if mine's gonna work.
We both have plans. That's for sure. I'll be excited to hear how it goes. But that's sweet
Yeah.
though. I think that'll be a lot of fun just having the gathering and everything. And
Yeah, it'd be good to get back with it. And I'm gonna be looking forward to working out with my buddy I haven't seen in 15 years. So
that's right.
that'd be good. I'm gonna break him off.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
But yeah,
Cool.
I think
So
it's good.
what do you think? Do you think we covered a lot?
Yeah,
Do
we
you
went
think
all
there's
over. I
anything
like
else?
it.
Yeah.
No, I think it's good. I think the biggest thing is like, we talk a lot in generalities and very elite bodybuilding. We talk a lot about like different people starting. And I just think the big takeaways that I think I got from it was having goals, having a plan, going all in, learning the habit first, learning the rules before you can break them, as you say. Um, and I think just like sticking with it, like, we talked about those people that have it and then they regress and I don't know. You probably get this frustration all the time. I just want the listeners to know, like, we say it might seem easy, and you could never understand right now wherever you're at in your journey. But like, just trust. Just like, give it 3 months of your time, which is like such a small time, and it can change your life. But fully commit to it, and you're going to. I guarantee. It's like a guaranteed. I don't know, like we can offer guarantees here, but it's a guarantee that you won't regret it and you're going to learn those skills that will be able to like socially eat, go out and be in different environments, be confident in your goals and your mindset. Don't be a follower, be a leader, and be confident with it. I think all those things. That's my wrap up.
I don't think I can beat that wrap up. That was a pretty darn good summary. I'm cool with it.
Well, I think you
Sweet.
can beat it by saying, check out your latest YouTube video where you talk about your first week of your prep and your full body slip.
Yeah. Well, I'll go ahead. I'll link that in the description below, but I just uploaded a video that does just like you mentioned, just a quick little overview of how I'm starting my prep, what my general plan is as far as my weight loss goals, how I'm kind of periodizing things in a very large generalization. And then I just walk you through one of my strength training sessions. So I'll go ahead. I'll link that in the description below. So feel free to check that out if you're interested. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for this, Zach. It's always awesome.
Definitely.